Right now, as we move closer to March 2026, major gun law deadlines are quietly approaching across the United States, and most gun owners have no idea how serious these changes really are. These are not rumors. These are not social media exaggerations. These are real laws, real court decisions, and real deadlines that can change how you buy, own, transport, or carry firearms. If you miss these updates, you could accidentally break the law without ever intending to. And in today's legal climate, that mistake can cost you your rights, your money, and even your freedom. Here's the most important thing to understand from the very beginning. Gun laws do not usually change with flashing warning signs. They change slowly through court rulings, administrative rules, and delayed implementation dates. Then one day, a deadline hits, and what was legal yesterday becomes a criminal offense today. March 2026 is one of those moments. Several states have already finalized new firearm regulations that officially take effect in early 2026. Some of these laws were passed years ago but blocked by courts. Others were signed quietly with delayed enforcement dates. Now those delays are ending. The result is a legal landscape where ownership is becoming more complicated, more expensive, and far less forgiving. Let's start with the biggest mistake gun owners make. They assume that if they are law-abiding, careful, and responsible, the law will somehow protect them. That assumption is dangerous. Firearm law does not work on intent. It works on compliance. Courts do not care whether you meant to break the law. They care whether you did. Across multiple states, new rules are adding layers between you and lawful ownership. These layers include permits, training requirements, registration systems, storage mandates, reporting deadlines, and restrictions on what you can buy or transfer. None of these laws announce themselves loudly. They become effective quietly, and enforcement follows later. March 2026 is especially important because several states are finalizing systems that were previously delayed due to lawsuits or administrative problems. Once those systems go live, enforcement begins immediately. There's no grace period for ignorance. One major shift happening nationwide is the expansion of permit-based ownership models. States that historically allowed straightforward purchases are moving towards systems that require pre-approval from law enforcement before you can buy a firearm. These permits often require fingerprints, photographs, background investigations, training certificates, fees, and renewal schedules. Missing any step can stop a purchase completely. Another trend is the tightening of training requirements. In multiple jurisdictions, basic firearm safety classes are no longer enough. New laws require recent training within specific time windows. Courses taken years ago may no longer count. Some states require multiple courses, taught by approved instructors with proof submitted to state agencies. This turns gun ownership into an ongoing administrative obligation rather than a one-time decision. Storage laws are also expanding rapidly. More states now impose criminal penalties if a firearm is not stored according to strict rules, especially when children are present. These laws do not require that harm actually occur. In some cases, access alone is enough to trigger charges. What many owners do not realize is that storage violations are often discovered indirectly, during unrelated police encounters or after theft reports. Reporting requirements are another hidden trap. Several states have shortened the time window for reporting lost or stolen firearms. What used to be 72 hours is now 48 in some places. That means weekends, holidays, and work schedules are not excuses. Missing the deadline can result in criminal liability, even if you were the victim of the theft. Magazine limits and parts restrictions are also expanding. Laws that once focused on complete firearms now include components, accessories, and unfinished parts. Online purchases are increasingly restricted, with sellers required to verify identity and age through approved systems. Many retailers simply refuse to ship to certain states, leaving owners confused about what is legal to buy and where. Another major issue approaching in 2026 is enforcement consistency. When laws are new, enforcement is often uneven. Some agencies act aggressively, others wait. This creates a dangerous environment where one county may ignore violations while another prosecutes them fully. Relying on local enforcement habits is risky because policies can change overnight. The financial burden of these laws cannot be ignored. Fees, training costs, travel, time off work, and legal consultations add up quickly. Gun ownership is becoming more expensive not because firearms cost more, but because compliance costs more. This disproportionately affects working-class owners who cannot easily take days off for courses or hearings. Now, let's address a critical misunderstanding. Many people believe these laws only affect new buyers. That is false. Existing owners are often affected through renewal requirements, transfer restrictions, inheritance rules, and changes to what counts as lawful possession. Owning something legally today does not guarantee you can sell it, transfer it, or modify it tomorrow. March 2026 also matters because courts are increasingly allowing states to experiment with tighter controls, as long as those controls are framed as temporary, targeted, or procedural. This means more laws survive legal challenges long enough to be enforced, even if they are later overturned. By the time a case is resolved, damage is often already done. Another issue gun owners overlook is civil court interaction. Protective orders, restraining orders, and administrative findings can now trigger firearm restrictions even without criminal convictions. These processes move fast, rely on paperwork, and punish inaction. Missing a hearing or misunderstanding an order can instantly change your legal status. The most dangerous mindset right now is complacency. Saying, "This won't affect me," is how people lose rights quietly. Gun law today is not about dramatic bans announced on television. It is about forms, deadlines, compliance steps, and technical violations. So what should you be doing right now? First, you should identify your state's upcoming deadlines, not headlines, actual dates. Second, you should review how you currently store, transport, and document your firearms. Third, if you plan to buy anything in the next year, you should understand whether new requirements will apply before you act. Finally, stop relying on outdated advice. What was legal in 2024 may not be legal in 2026. What your friend says may be wrong. What worked in another state may not apply to yours. Precision matters more than confidence. March 2026 is not just another date. It is a legal turning point for gun ownership in America. Those who prepare will adapt. Those who ignore it will learn the hard way. This is part 1. In part 2, we will break down specific state actions, timelines, and practical steps you must take to stay legal as these deadlines arrive. Now, let's get specific, because general warnings are not enough. What matters is how these March 2026 gun law deadlines play out in real states for real people in everyday situations. This is where most gun owners get caught off guard. First, states with newly activated permit-to-purchase systems. These systems change the order of everything. You do not walk into a store, choose a firearm, and pass a background check anymore. You must already have government permission before the transaction even begins. That permission often requires training certificates, fingerprints, photographs, fees, and waiting periods. If any part of that process is delayed, your purchase stops cold. The biggest problem is volume. When deadlines hit, thousands of people apply at once and agencies fall behind. If you wait until the last minute, you may be locked out for months. Second, training-based restrictions are expanding faster than most people realize. In several states, training must be recent, instructor-approved, and documented in specific formats. Online courses may not qualify. Old certificates may expire. Some laws require multiple classes, not just one. The trap here is assumption. Many owners believe prior military service, hunter education, or past permits automatically qualify them. In many cases, they do not. The burden is on the owner to prove compliance, not on the state to accommodate you. Third, concealed carry is becoming more conditional, not less. Even in states that advertise themselves as carry-friendly, new rules are redefining where and how carry is allowed. Sensitive place expansions mean that carrying legally in one location and stepping into another can instantly turn lawful behavior into a crime. These zones are often poorly marked and change frequently. Schools, government buildings, parks, events, and even private businesses can fall under new restrictions with little notice. Fourth, private transfers are shrinking rapidly. In many states, selling or gifting a firearm now requires third-party involvement, documentation, or proof that the recipient meets new standards. Family transfers are not always exempt. Inheritance can be delayed or blocked entirely if paperwork is incomplete. And what used to be a simple transaction between trusted individuals is now a regulated event with legal exposure on both sides. Fifth, parts and accessories are no longer safe assumptions. Laws now treat unfinished receivers, barrels, magazines, and even replacement components as regulated items. Online retailers increasingly refuse to ship to certain states because compliance risks are too high. Owners who rely on internet availability are discovering that legal ownership does not guarantee legal access to maintenance or upgrades. Sixth, enforcement after deadlines is often retroactive in effect, even if not in law. Once rules are active, investigations look backward. A firearm stored improperly last month may be discovered next month and charged under current law. A missed reporting deadline can be prosecuted even if the theft occurred earlier. Timing matters more than people expect. So what are the smart moves right now? First, document everything. Training records, purchase receipts, storage methods, and serial numbers should be organized and accessible. Second, verify deadlines directly from state sources, not headlines or social media. Third, plan purchases early if you intend to buy before restrictions tighten. Fourth, assume scrutiny will increase, not decrease. Most importantly, understand this shift in mindset. Gun ownership is no longer treated purely as a constitutional right and practice. It is treated as a regulated activity that demands ongoing compliance. That reality may be frustrating, but ignoring it does not protect you. March 2026 represents a line in the sand. After that point, enforcement, not debate, defines the consequences. Staying informed is not optional anymore. It is the price of staying legal. This concludes Part 2.